This episode sponsored by Lake Monster Details, producing the Don's Light and Magic Legacy line of parts, offering upgrade parts and decals for accuracy, special effects, and lighting. Visit www.lakemonsterdetails.com and make it glow. Also sponsored by GCals, producing aftermarket replacement decals and custom quality graphics for your favorite spaceships. Visit www.gcals.company.site and add some personalization to your sci-fi models today. What's up, guys? Will here. Welcome back to Model from Instant Chair. This is episode 4 of my 1/1400 scale Enterprise C build. Answer your question, yes, I am wearing a different shirt. I just got this one in. I actually got it off of Amazon. It was only like $30 so I figured I'd give it a shot. And it's actually a pretty nice shirt for the price. It's a Star Trek Beyond command shirt. So the rank on the sleeve isn't quite correct, but it's a pretty nice shirt. Fits real nice. I'm about 6 foot, give or take, 230 pounds, and I had to go with a double XL because these run a little small. So if you're interested, just keep that in mind if you order one of these shirts. But at any rate, the other question on your mind, yes, you guys that asked, that begged for me to get rid of the fisheye lens camera have finally had your dreams come true. You're welcome. So I got another camera in. This is the first video I'm recording with it. I've done a couple test videos with it, try to get the settings right on it. Hopefully it records good and doesn't screw up on me while I'm doing this introductory episode. But I wasn't too happy with the audio on it, so right now the audio is going through my laptop because I don't like the audio when it comes through the cam itself. I've got a professional microphone on order, should be here for next week for the next episode. So bear with me this episode. We'll get through this. And next episode, the audio should be a lot better. So, at any rate, let's talk about what we're looking at in this episode. So, just catch up real quick, or a quick recap. I got both the halves of the secondary hull painted up. And I actually did something different with the second half that I'm going to have to change on this first half. The first half, when I first painted it, I had a hard time finding any pictures that really detailed this area up here. They were either not very good quality images, they were very grainy if you tried to zoom in, or the lighting was bad and it was hard to tell if this was a lighter blue or a darker blue. So I made the assumption that these panels up here were a continuation of the panel line color on the bottom here, and they're not. I was actually doing some research because I'm working on, I've decided, because the saucer section, which we'll talk about when we get on the bench here, it's taking so long, I decided to start working on the back wing here where the pylons are. And when I was looking at some reference photos for that, I came across a photo, which I'll pull up and show you here real quick. But when you look at this photo, you'll notice that that one side, looking at the spine of the secondary hull there, on that left side where you see the panel lines, you'll notice that the dark panel at the top, and then you'll see those panels on the spine there. You can tell from this picture that the panels are the lighter color blue compared to the darker color blue for the panel lines. So I've had to go in and fix that. And, I didn't fix it. I discovered it before I did the second half, and I went ahead and painted the second half in the lighter blue colors. And I've got some more panels. I've got some lines I've got to add on the back here, which you can tell from that photo. But I started masking off the first half I did because I got to come in now and correct the coloring on these panel lines here. So I got to work on getting that done. And this episode we're pretty much going to be. I started working on the hull or the saucer and drilling the windows, and I have not made a lot of progress this week on these windows. They are tedious, to say the least. So we'll talk about that more here in a minute. The main thing I'll be focusing on, though, is trying to get this back, like I said, wing section ready for lighting. I've already started working out how I'm going to do the wiring on that, and I'll go into how I'm going to do that. And still thinking about whether or not I want to do some Raython lighting effect on the insignia on the back here below the shuttle bay and on the side pylons. So I'll do some tests on it. We'll take a look at it, see how it's going to look, and if I think it's going to work out, I'll go with it. But at any rate, give me a minute. I'll put you on the bench. We'll get to work. All right, guys. So here we are. I've got. I just want to take a look at these secondary haul halves real quick. I think they turned out really nice. I like the way they look. Did pretty good on them, but I could have done better. You know. Anybody that, you guys are with me, if you build a model, you look at it, you're like, I could have done this better. Or the next time I'd do this different. So just a real quick, if I did this again, what I would do. First of all, I'll just say that I had the problem with the paint peel on both halves in the same spot. And it was down here in this, in the back edge corner here. And I still don't quite know why. I was thinking maybe it was an issue with the lacquer, the all-clad lacquer I used as the primer, and the Bondo. I don't know. But because on this side here, this is the one where I had to build this middle part back up. You can see it actually turned out pretty well. It's not as bad as it was. I had to build this up with Bondo, so this is nothing but Bondo here, and I had no problems with paint peel in this area. I only had the problem with paint peel on the bottom area, like I did on the first half. So I'm not quite sure. I let it dry. I let the lacquer coat, especially on this one, I let this dry several, like 4 or 5 days before I started painting on it, and it still peeled up. So I don't know. I don't know what the issue was or that, but I could say that, the places where I've had to come back and touch these up, I used nothing but my craft paint acrylic. I put black down, the light block again, and I came back over it and touched up with the blues. And I've had to go back over that and mask off to do some additional painting, and I had no repeat of the paint peel with the acrylic. So I think in the future, I've got that Yamaguchi model I got to do yet. So when I get around to doing that one, I think I'm just going to go straight acrylic on that and not use the lacquer and then put the acrylic over it. Although I don't know why that would have been an issue. You're supposed to be able to go over lacquer with acrylic, I think. If I'm wrong, somebody correct me, but I'm pretty sure you're supposed to be able to. But at any rate, I got it fixed. I got all the issues corrected. And I've got all my panels painted on here using the Yamaguchi studio models reference because I thought it looked better on the Yamaguchi than the Enterprise C was a little bit different. And plus with the battle damage that's on the studio model for the Enterprise C, it's hard to tell how all the panels looked on that. So I decided to just go with the paint scheme I saw on the back on the tail section here from the Yamaguchi and just kind of recreate that a little bit. So I like that. I think it turned out really nice. If I had to do this again, like I said, I'd use the all acrylic. And on that clear Yamaguchi, I won't have to do all the drilling I had to do on this. But I think what I do to relocate the windows would be a little easier. On that, you probably just take a little drop of the UV resin and put it in the little dimples where all the windows are supposed to be. And then come back and just sand the whole thing. I mean, it's going to be opaque, or it's going to be cloudy at that point, but it don't really matter. You want some light block or some diffusion anyway. So, but I would put some UV resin, kind of fill those little dimples in, and then come back and sand it smooth. And then come back with my window masks and mask off the ones I want light to show through. And come back with my black acrylic to light block. And then I'm thinking what I would do, or what I'll try when I do that, unless somebody tells me they've tried it before and it didn't work out, but I've read on this before. I think I would take, I'm going to take some Future and seal the whole thing, because I think that'll help with some of smoothing out. There are some little dimples and that on here where I didn't, quite sand it perfectly or that. And it's not noticeable unless you're looking for it, you know where to look for it or that, or you get real close up on the model. But I think I would come over that with Future because that'll self-level and make it real smooth. And then the only problem with that, like I said, the only concern with that is that the Future, I'm not sure if that's going to seal those window masks or not. If I'm going to still be able to get those window masks off. So if anybody's tried that, let me know. But I was thinking to come over it with the Future, get a nice smooth coat on it, peel those window masks off, come back with a fresh set over the Future, and then come back with my acrylic paints on top of that and do it pretty much the same way I did this one. I just don't know if that Future is going to cause a problem being able to get those window masks off or not on that first coat. So if any of you guys have done that or something like that, let me know, please, because I'm thinking that might be a good avenue to try next time. But at any rate, these are all done. I do have to still put something in the back here. I drilled out the docking port here. I need to put something in the back there, but I'm not sure what I'm doing with that yet. I think I've got some photo etch laying around. I may be able to put a piece in there and give it a little bit of detail at least. So, but those are pretty much done. Just waiting to get a little further along. Then I've got to come in and put my LED strips in here and figure out how I want to do the lighting on this. So, at any rate, we'll set those aside. Those are pretty much done. Now, what I wanted to talk about this episode was this saucer. And if you've seen the picture from a week ago, you'll see I haven't really gotten very far on it at all. And that's because, unfortunately, I broke my drill bit. And this is a 1/32 drill bit, I believe. Let me double check. Yeah, I'm using a 1/32 drill bit. And it seems to be perfect size for doing these windows on this model. And anyway, I broke this one, and anybody that's done drilling through windows, you know you'll go through a couple of these. So I've got some more of these. I got like a 12-pack of these on order. And they should be here sometime next week, so hopefully before next video I'll have them in. And we'll be able to talk more about doing these windows. But it's very easy to do these windows. It's not hard at all. But like I said, when I get that drill bit in, we'll go more into that and talk about that. I do want to say that there's no real modifications to make to this except for drilling out your windows if you're lighting this. If you're not lighting it and you're just painting your model, then you don't have to worry about that. But if you're lighting this model, you got to drill all these windows out. And like I said, take some patience. You got to take that drill bit. Basically, I'll do a hole at the top edge of the window and the bottom edge of the window, and then I'll come in with my hobby knife and trim away the little bit of material that's in between. And then I've actually got a file set, but it's too big for this scale. So I actually ordered a set of micro files that hopefully will be in the same time as those drill bits. So hopefully we can talk about all that next episode. But I do want to say you don't have to do a whole lot of any modifications really to this unless you're doing the Yamaguchi. And I'll put a picture up. Let me pull that picture up and show you. All right, and you'll notice on the Yamaguchi, on the left, you'll see that it's different from the model on the right. And the model on the right is a very accurate representation of the Enterprise C. On the left, you'll notice the difference there. You've got, to do this model the way the Yamaguchi is properly, you would have to sand off pretty much all the lifeboats around the edge of the bridge, and I guess that's the B deck there, or C deck. But you have to sand off all those lifeboats, and they pretty much get replaced with all those little lifeboats you see right around the bridge there. They get dropped down to that lower deck. And then you got two transporter emitters on either side. Those yellow pads, those are transporter emitters on either side in place too. So, and it looks like the lifeboats behind the bridge gets cut down to one on each side. So you do have some modification to do there if you want to do a faithful representation of the Yamaguchi. But as far as the Enterprise C, we're good to go. This is accurate. So. At any rate, also on the Yamaguchi, you do have to add those lifeboats on the back here too. So don't want to forget to mention that. But other than that, this is accurate for the Enterprise C. But we'll talk more about this and look at it more when once I get those drill bits and those microfiles in. So in the meantime, what I've started working on is what I'm referring to as the wing section, which has your pylons on it. And basically what I've started doing on this is I I was a little bit concerned with this piece carrying light through it, because it does have to slide into the let me grab a piece. It does have to slide into the back section here. Pretty much, those wires will be down pretty much like that. So I was a little bit concerned about this piece if I didn't do a bunch of light blocking on it, carrying light, and having light bleeds all over the place. So I went ahead and painted it black on the underside, even though I'm not really putting any lights themselves in here. I did toy with the idea of lighting up the registry on the sides here, and you can see where I've kind of drummed out a little space. And of course, no sooner I got that drummed out than I started looking at it, and I'm like, you know what? That registry doesn't appear on any of the models after the Enterprise C. It does appear on the Enterprise C, but remember, these pylons were shortened, and that's what this represents, is that shortened pylon. And the Yamaguchi, the Zukov, they didn't have the registry on the side here. That was removed after Greg Jean made the changes after the Enterprise C, after yesterday's Enterprise was filmed. So I'm thinking I'm not going to even put the registries on here, because I just don't like that it's going to run across these two panels. Although I think that's how it was on the Enterprise C model anyway, was that it run across these two panels. But it's kind of redundant, because you're going to have NCC 1701C on here, but then on the warp nacelles, you're going to have the same thing basically on the back end of the warp nacelle. And I don't think on any of your other Enterprises, definitely not the refit. I don't think the Enterprise B, and I'm pretty sure the D did not have the registry on the side of the pylons. So I think I'm going to leave it off. I don't think I'm going to do that. So I'm just going to primer back over this and relight block it, and I'm not going to even put the registry on the side here. I just don't think you need it. And I'm thinking maybe that's why Greg Jean took it off after he made the modifications, was because it was just redundant. You don't really need the registry here, and then right above it on the nacelle, the registry as well. So I'm going to leave it off. Like I said, it was on the Enterprise C model, but again, you've got to take into consideration that these are modeled on the Yamaguchi pylons. So I don't think you need it, and I'm just not going to do it. So I'm not going to do that. But one thing I am going to do that I've done here on the bottom, I started running my wires, and let me talk about that real quick before I get into the other thing I was going to mention. So I've got these wires run, and we'll talk about this SMD here in a minute. Get that out if I can get that out of the way. The wires. There we go. All right, so basically what I did was I came in on both sides of this. I've trenched. You can see I've trenched a spot for these wires to run. And what I'm using here is another thing that Boyd recommended, and I'm trying for the first time on this model, is this wire wrapping wire. And I think I'm not sure if I got this from HTA ModelWorks. I'm not sure. I'd have to look back. But you can get that from HTA ModelWorks. But I got it. It's not very expensive. You get a lot of wire out of it. And I do so far like it better than the magnet wire. It's only slightly thicker than the magnet wire, but it's definitely less springy. And I'm hoping, I haven't tried soldering it yet, I'm hoping it's easier to solder than the magnet wire, because I've never had good luck. I've always had a hard time soldering magnet wire, getting it to hold a solder. So at any rate, I've got these in here, and basically what I'm doing is just kind of setting these in place. Get that wire over there. Get over there. It's to run its own way. All right. And getting these to sit down in here as best I can. And then what I'm doing is, again, another trick I learned from Boyd over there at TrekWorks. Just take you some CA glue. And I'm going to come back with my InstaSet accelerator. And it doesn't take a lot of this. Just spray it on there, let it sit for a minute. And what this will do is this will set your wires in place so that they're not moving. You're not sitting there waiting for. You can hot glue them too. The reason why I do it this way here is because I want this as thin as possible, and hot glue tends to be a little thick. So doing it this way ensures that, you know, I've got as thin of a profile as possible on these wires, so that way the two halves will go together. Should go together pretty easy. But at any rate, I've got them run through here. And if I can get these wires out of the way. Okay, that one's together, that one's together. That needs to go. All right. And then what we can do is, let's get this wire to the right side. This is why I'm getting ready to twist these together, because if you don't, you'll end up with all these wires tangled together. So basically what I'll do is just take these and just twist them together. That way I've got two bundles here. And I did these extra long because I'm thinking I may have to run these out the front where the dish is to wire these together, because the two halves of the secondary hull are going to go together before I slide this in. Then I'm going to slide this in and have the wires, just these wires come out the front dish. And I'll be able to do all my wiring at the front dish and kind of tuck these inside afterwards. That's my thought anyway. So that's how I'm doing that. And I've got two sets of wires running up into here. I've got two negatives and two positives. The reason why I'm doing that is I believe on the studio model, all the lights in the nacelles were static. They were always on. They stayed on. They didn't go off and off. They weren't flashing. But the thing is, on the Enterprise D, that back light on the nacelle does blink. And I'm thinking that the only reason it didn't on the C is because they were rushed. Again, remember, they were rushed to do this model. So I think there were a couple things left out, and I really want a little more motion, so to say, to this model. So what I'm going to do is, there's lights. I'm grabbing one of these nacelles real quick to show you what I'm talking about. So you've got a light in the front on the nacelle and a light on the back in the nacelle. The light on the front, I'm thinking I'm going to do is either red or green and leave that static on or steady on. And the back one I'm going to have as flashing as a nav light, as a strobe. So I'm going to have that flashing. So I've got two separate sets of lights. I got one for a steady on and one for that light that's going to flash back there. So that's why I've got two sets of lights running up through these pylons. I did buy Tenor Controls board. This is the navigation board. Just has the navigation lights. I did buy that. It's only like $35, I think. And it comes with a bunch of wire and the board and all that. So I did buy this to do my lights. We have there's a couple that I'm planning on doing. I'm doing one on the back of each of the nacelles. And then on the saucer section, we've got one at the back edge here. That's also a blinking strobe. And typically there is one on the belly somewhere. I did not see one on the belly of the Enterprise C, but there was one on the bottom of the Yamaguchi on that piece that they added on the underside that looks like a shuttle bay, a reuse of a shuttle bay from an Excelsior. There is a light on the bottom of that I believe flashed, but there's not one, I don't think, on the Enterprise C model, but I may add one just because I think there should be one there. And yeah, I know I said I was going to stick to only modifications that Greg Jean did, but hey, you know, I want to be happy with this model, and I don't think I'm going to be happy with it if I only do a flashing strobe on the back here and nowhere else. So I'm going to do one there. I'm going to do one on the back each of the nacelles, and I may add one to the belly. I'm not sure yet. We'll see. But anyway, I've got this one. You can see where I've made a little gully here, a little ditch to run the wire. You don't need a lot because the wires for these SMDs are very thin, and the SMD is sitting right up here. And basically what that's going to let me do is light the Enterprise name on the back here. It goes right here. And it's going to let me light that up. So I'll put these two halves together. You'll see they go together without any issues, so there's plenty of clearance in there for the wires. But let's do a little test on this light here. So you can see that lighting up, and it's very bright right now. Well, it's even brighter in the camera, it looks like. But that's going to tone down some once I put a coat of paint on it. Basically what I'll do is I'll do black all over this, and I'll keep this taped over, and then I'll come over this with a little bit of white, Tamiya fine white primer, and then we'll paint the whole thing, the colors that it needs to be, and that'll tone this down a little bit, especially coming through that fog gray craft paint. It's going to be toned down a bit, so it should look good when I'm done with it. But anyway, that's my idea, is to have that light up on the back. And so there's that. That's what I got planned. That's what I'm going to be working on, getting that done. And then I haven't checked my mail. I gotta talk to Cass over at Late Monster Details and see if he was able to get those parts out to me. But I haven't checked my mailbox in a couple of days either, so I don't know. But we'll take a look, and hopefully be working on these here soon. But at any rate, give me a little bit. I'm going to do some more work on this, and we'll come back on it and take a look at where I'm at. Stay tuned. Alright guys, so I've got this sealed up. I got the putty work done on it, and put the first primer coat on it just to check out, see how the seams are looking. I think I need to do a little bit more sand in here. And this one looks good over here. So my seam lines are looking pretty good. I think I got just a little bit right here on this one part. So I'm going to sand that, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw my dark blue on first. And your dark blue is going to be basically these smaller squares up front here, and all of your rectangles, or whatever you want to call them, on the pylons here. Those are all darker blue. Same way on this side, smaller ones are all darker blue. So the other thing is too, is the front leading edge and the back edge, all the way around the back here, is supposed to be the darker blue. I didn't realize that until I was just looking at pictures, so I don't even know, once I put that darker blue on, whether or not the lighting I put up back here is even going to show. Let's see if I hook this up real quick. You can see it right now, but once I get that darker blue on there, I'm not 100% certain that that's going to be visible. If I can get these wires matched up here. There. So there you go. Let me cut this light off. But you can see how that's lighting up. It might be bright enough to come through that dark blue. We'll see. But that dark blue is pretty much got, like I said, it's the back edge all the way around, and then also the leading edge all the way up to this point here. It's supposed to be the darker blue, and then it's gray on top. So I'm going to finish sanding. I'm going to sand a little bit on this one part here. Maybe might have to do a little putty. I think if I sand it, it'll be good enough. And the rest of these look pretty good. So I'm going to sand this and throw that darker blue on, and then we'll come back and take a look at it. Alright guys, so I've got the darkest blue applied to here. All sides, everything's painted up. And I've got the blue all the way around the trailing and leading edges of the pylons here. So next step is going to be to, I've got Lou's Aztec dummy masks here. And the next step is going to be to start applying these to cover up the darker blue areas to protect that, and then I can come over with my lighter blue and not worry about painting over the dark blue areas. And Lou gives some really good directions, some printed color directions for how to do this. So I'm not going to sit here and do it on camera. I think it's pretty simple to do. It's pretty self-explanatory when you read the directions. So I am going to take a couple minutes, and I'm going to get these the first phase of masks, I should say, on these darker blue areas to protect them, and then I'm going to throw the lighter blue on it, and we'll come back and take a look before I put the next set of masks on. So stay tuned. All right, guys. So I got the first part of this done. You can see the masks that are on there, and I got the lighter blue on here. Don't have to worry about it on here. Just got to get that lighter blue on these longer sections here. And you can see the masks I used, except for these. These were for the sides of the secondary hull. But you can see the masks that get used for that step. And then the next step is, now that I've got that lighter blue coat on there, I'm going to come back and use these masks to cover up that lighter blue, and then I'll be ready to put on my fog gray here. And that'll be it. That'll be it for that step. It's pretty much done. I do need to take some masking tape and just mask off this leading edge and this trailing edge, so that way when I go to paint that fog gray on, I don't cover all this up. But I'll get to that step here in a minute. I'm going to get these other masks on first and get this taped up, and then I'll get that coat of fog gray on here, and we'll come back and see what the final look is on this. So be back. Alright guys, here it is. It's all done. I put that light gray, that fog gray color on, and pull all the masks off, and this is what it looks like. Turned out really nice. Those masks definitely make it a lot easier to get this done. You can do your own masks, but heck, I'll just like to pay the professionals to do the hard work. So anyway, these are all done. Looks good. Let's check the light. Remember, I was worried about that blue light, not the blue light, but the light being able to show through that dark blue paint. So let's take a look at that. Get this hooked up real quick. Maybe real quick. Yeah, you can see through it. Let's turn this light off so you can see a little bit better. There we go. So, yeah, I think that's going to be just fine. It toned it down quite a bit. And I was a little worried that it wasn't going to show through that blue much, but it's shown through there just enough, I think, to give it a nice effect. So, should look good. But we'll really know the difference once I start putting those decals on. I've got all those decals here that Gus sent over, and they're really nice decals. We're going to take a look at these a little closer. Sent a ton of lifeboats, so we've got plenty of lifeboats, that's for sure. Because the Enterprise C doesn't even have that many lifeboats on it, not compared to the Enterprise D anyway. But anyway, it's going to look good. He's got all the major decals we need, everything we need. We got the sensor bands here for the saucer section as well, so you don't have to worry about painting those on. So that's going to look nice. So thank you again to Gus over there at G-Cals for sending those over. Also talked to Cass over at Lake Monster Details about those warp nacelle parts, and he's told me they'll be in next Tuesday. I think he might be screwing with me, but we'll see. No, he's got them coming. So as soon as they get in, we'll take a look at those. And next episode, we'll either start on that saucer or we'll start on the nacelles. We'll just see what comes in and how far I get. If I get those drill bits in, should get them in Tuesday or Wednesday. If we get those in and get enough done on the saucer, we'll take a look at that. But it's a lot of work to do on that saucer section. So anyway, guys, I appreciate everybody from watching these videos and giving me some feedback. And thank you to everybody that's been subscribing. I appreciate all you guys that are subscribing. It lets me know that people are actually watching these videos. And I'm not just blowing hot air here, sitting here talking about these different things to do on these models. So anyway, guys, thank you again. Thank you to everybody for watching. And until next time, keep modeling.